Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times. Today we're here to talk about books. Well, more than talking, I'm here to show you books. I am continuing my bookshelf tour, so I'm here to show you today some of my vintage horror paperbacks.
It's coffee time!
Now, these paperbacks are not all like exactly vintage in the sense that they are not all published 70s, 80s, 90s. It is a struggle for me to find this type of books over here, and I have been trying to collect as many as I could. So I'm gonna show you some of my vintage horror paperbacks. Some of them are newer, and like newer editions of older paperbacks, and this is going to include as well my Richard Lehman collection, which I am constantly trying to expand. So let's take a look at them. All right, time to take a look at those paperbacks. So we have Frankenstein Unbound, and I found this one somewhere at a thrift store, I think, and decided to get it. Then we have some of the V.C. Andrews books. We have Flowers in the Attic, very disturbing, did not expect that. And these are the next ones that I have by her that I have not read yet, so let me know which one I should start with first. This is My Sweet Audrina, and this is one of the ones where you can open, and it has this on the cover that is absolutely beautiful. We have Pearl in the Mist, and this one has another one of those fantastic covers. I mean, just look at it. It's just so fantastic. And it also reveals a lot of what you can expect from this book. Probably a lot of family drama, secrets, and probably also murder. I also have Darkest Hour, another one of those beautiful ones where you can open up and see the family. And then I have this interesting copy of the new Virginia Andrews, and this is Ruby. Then we have Jay Anson, 666. It's the same author that wrote The Amityville Horror, so I'm really excited to try this one. Then I have this vampire book that I have not read yet. It's called The Secret Life of Laszlo, Count Dracula. If you guys have read it, let me know. Then I have a couple of Clive Barker in paperback. I also have some hardcovers. I have The Damnation Game, and I have Weave World. Then I have Death in a Cold Climate, and this one came together with a package of other horror paperbacks, but this is basically a thriller, not really a horror, but I'm still willing to give it a try. Then I have Time Double, and this one has such a cute cover. I mean, look at those teeth, beautiful. Count of 11 by Ramsey Campbell, and this one is in really rough shape, so at some point I would like to get a better edition, but this is what we're working with at the moment. Then I have this one which I found and I thought it was really interesting. It's called Shivers Mystery by Terry Deary, and I have never seen these books before, and I found it somewhere, I think on eBay or somewhere, and I decided to grab it. Next we have Creature by Drake Douglas, and I mean, this cover, fantastic. We have October by Stephen Gallagher, and possibly a creature feature. I have Gideon by Stephen Laws, another cool cover. A lot of these have amazing covers. This one is also great. It's called In a Dark Dream by Charles L. Grant. This is a bit of a newer one, and this one is called The Perils and Dangers of This Night by Stephen Gregory. Then we have this Dark Paradise by Wendy Haley, and this is a vampire book that I really enjoyed, even though I think it's more of a family drama more than a horror. But it also has a really cool undercover here. Then I have some urban fantasy ones that I've been meaning to try. I have Dead Witch Walking by Kate Harrison. And by the same author, I also have The Outlaw Demon Walls. I have as well Black Wings by Christina Henry. This is the beginning of I think it's a 7-book series, so I've been thinking maybe I should get all of them and read them in a vlog and let you guys know what I thought of it, because I love Christina Henry, but I have never read her urban fantasy books. Then I have my James Herbert collection here, and some of them are new, some of them are older releases. So I have this one, The Rats, which is a newer edition, but from the second book I did get a vintage copy, which is called Lair. And of course the vintage ones are better, especially this one. The Fog has one of my favorite cover of his books. Then we have James Herbert, The Dark, pretty creepy. I also have Shrine by James Herbert. And I have this new edition of The Ghost of Slith that I would like to replace because it's a very poop edition, let's face it. And I also have James Herbert Moon, and this is a cool edition that you can open. And last in the shelf, I have Dark Seeker by K.W. Jeter. And now we are moving all the way over here where I have a couple more books. Let's start with this little shelf here. I have City of the Dead by Brian Keene, and I really enjoy his stories, so I need to get to these paperbacks. And I have The Conqueror Worm, also by Brian Keene. Next we have another well-known author. We have Off Season by Jack Ketchum. Then I have this interesting book called Blood and Chocolate by Annette Curtis Claude. And fun fact, I also have the movie in DVD, so maybe I should read the book and watch the movie. Next we have The Animal Hour by Andrew Klavan. And then I have a couple of Dean Koontz books. It's kind of like a weird mix. I have The Eyes of Darkness. I also have From the Corner of His Eye. I have The Winter Moon, and this is a more of a vintage one. We have The Door to December, another more vintage edition. Next is The Voice of the Night, and I really like this cover. The next one is not exactly vintage, but I could only fit it in this shelf, so that's why it's here. It's Cultbrook by Tim LeBon, and I really need to get to this one. Next I have two books by the same author. They're actually thrillers, but I found them at a secondhand store and decided to give them a try because they are vintage thrillers. So this one is called Unknown Man Number 89 by Elmore Leonard. And the other one by the same author is this one here called City Primeval, High Noon in Detroit. And last here in this shelf we have The House by Bentley Little, and I really want to try this one because I read The Bank by the same author and that was not exactly my cup of tea, so I'm willing to give the author another chance, and since I already have this one, I might try it. And now let's move over here where I have more paperbacks. Starting over here we have Fever Dream by George R.R. Martin. This is one of my favorite vampire books that has kind of like a different take of vampires. It was brutal, it was fun, and I just like George R.R. Martin writing so much. So I was really happy when I discovered he had a vampire book, and I read it immediately and loved it. Then I have a book here that I've been meaning to try since forever. Here it is, Robert McCammon, Boy's Life. Maybe 2024 will be the year where I finally read it. Next I have this one here, Dead City by Joe McKinney. Moving on to a great winter read, The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. This one is just so atmospheric, delicious, dark, loved it. Now I have a couple of vintage paperbacks. This one is called Ghost House by Claire McNally, and I mean, just look at this creepy cover. And also by Claire McNally, I have this other book called Addison House. I guess she just likes houses. Then we have these kind of like a thriller that I read called When the Dark Man Calls. I mean, it was fun and it was an interesting thriller, but nothing that really blew me away. Next is Save the Last Dance for Me. I also read this one and really loved it, and this cover is just chef's kiss. Another one that I read and loved is this one, Brainchild by Andrew Neiderman. It was like a really dark, creepy version of Sheldon, and I was here for it. The Image by Charlotte Paul. Of course, I have The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. And I also have Legion, which is the second book, as well as the anniversary edition, because this one has extra chapters and things are different. So I still have not read this one, but I would like to revisit the original and compare it to the new edition. Moving on, we have a paperback from Hell book, and it is The Next by Bob Randall. And next I have a random book. It's this regular thriller called Bare Bones, and it basically follows Temperance Brennan from the TV show Bones, if you know it. And it is a thriller, but I have never read any book that is related to the TV show, and I really like the TV show, so I thought I would give it a chance. Let's see what we have next. We have The Cats. And let me tell you, this is basically a book that I bought based on the cover. I mean, have you seen this cover? Have you seen those teeth? Those eyes? I mean, this was a cover buy. The House Next Door by Anne Rivers Siddons. This is also another classic. The Want Ad Killer, and these are books that I am starting to collect now. They are all books by Anne Rule, and she always talks about true crime stories, and that is why I'm trying to collect these. My Joan Saul collection, which is small, I have Stuff for the Children, and this is one that I read and really enjoyed. We have The Unloved. This one I have not read yet, but I mean, look at the cover. And the last one that I have is Cry for the Strangers, which I have read and really enjoyed. This is an isolated small town where people start getting hurt. It is a fantastic study on humanity and when to know who to trust and all of that, and I absolutely loved it. I believe this next one is also featured in Paperbacks from Hell, is The Turning, and this is by Justin Scott. I have here a couple of Dan Simmons books. I have a Winter Hunting, and I also have Carry On Comfort, which is a chunker, but I mean, look at the cute skeleton. Then I got Headhunter by Michael Slade, and I've always been intrigued by this cover. It's another chunker, but I am excited to give it a chance. Then I have more classics. I have 9 Coaches Waiting, and I found this one, I think, at a comic book store. They had some like old paperbacks and I grabbed it. Julia by Peter Straub, and this really surprised me because it is, in a way, a haunted house story, but it was quite different and unexpected. I also have, by the same author, The Hellfire Club. And I have here a newer edition of Mr. X, which I believe are short horror stories. And the last one in this row is a vampire book with a really cute cover. The Vampire Legacy Blood Secrets. And in this little corner here I have the last ones. Let's check them out. So I have Out of the Night by Patrick Wallen. We have another vampire book, Kiss of the Vampire. We have this tiny book called The Promise. Next is Dead to the World with a fantastic cover. We have The Keep by F. Paul Wilson. Dark Oracle by Alania Williams. The Laughing Man by T.M. Wright, and I found this one in Amsterdam in the secondhand bookstore, and I took it without really knowing much, so I don't know what to expect. And the last one I have here is T.M. Wright, The Last Vampire. So yeah, super cute. Look at that cover. I'm really excited for this one. And yeah, then we have just basically a couple of paperbacks from Buffy that I have, and we go a little bit more into the urban fantasy. And last but not least, today I wanted to show you my Richard Lehman collection. It's not complete, obviously, but these are all the ones that I have been able to collect so far. Resurrection Dreams. The Cellar. The Beast House. The Midnight Tour. The Woods Are Dark. All Hallows Eve. Flesh. Funland. Savage. Endless Night, which was my first Richard Lehman book and Richard Lehman read, and this is what made me fall in love with him. In the Dark. Quake. Island. After Midnight. Among the Missing. The Traveling Vampire Show. Bite. Night in a Lonesome October. No Sanctuary. The Lake. And the last one that I bought, Midnight's Lair. Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed the little tour and seeing some of my older horror paperbacks, and I hope that you enjoyed seeing some of the covers, which I think are great personally. Let me know down below, where do you find your vintage horror paperbacks? I know some countries are very lucky, like the US, and you guys get so many at the secondhand stores. Here is almost impossible to find this type of books at a secondhand bookstore. I always have to find them through the internet. So it's not always easy to find and not always easy to get them for a decent price. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed to see the ones that I have managed to collect thus far, but I'm still working on expanding the collection. Thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I hope to see you all as always in our next coffee time. Bye!